It is 1936. Indy Harrison Ford steals a statue from a South American temple, hidden deep in the forest, dodging traps and colleagues who betray him but get killed themselves due to their lack of knowledge of ancient artifacts and the defenses designed to keep them safe. Indy is able to navigate the defenses safely and get to the statue, but mistakenly activates a large boulder when he fails to replace the correct weight of the statue on the mechanism. While escaping the boulder, Indy is cornered by the Javitos, the local tribe, who are led by Dr. René Belloc Paul Freeman, an arrogant French archaeologist who is a longtime rival and enemy of Indy. Indy has to give the statue to Belloc. Indy flees and is rescued by Jock Fred Sorensen, flying a seaplane. Indy reckons Belloc is taking it to Marrakesh. Marcus Brody Denholm Elliott is Indy's best friend and the curator of a museum back home, and buys the antiques that Indy rescues for the museum. Indy uses the funds to pay for his travel expenses across the world. The army officers meet Indy and explain that a German radio cable from Cairo to Berlin says the Nazis have discovered Tanis, an ancient city buried in a gigantic sandstorm in 980 BC, and the possible burial site of the Ark of the Covenant on which Moses inscribed the Ten Commandments. The officers explain that the cable mentioned Indy's teacher, Professor Ravenwood. Indy believes that Ravenwood has the staff of Ra headpiece. The headpiece mounted on the staff at a certain place at a certain time would point to the location of the Ark in a special map room with a miniature of the city on the floor. Indy finds his ex-girlfriend Marion Karen Allen in Kathmandu, who has the headpiece that point to the location of the Ark. Karen is Abner Ravenwood's daughter. Karen says that Abner is dead. Marion is angry at Indy for abandoning her but joins his quest for the Ark for money. Indy promises her $5,000 for her help. Indy intervenes and a gunfight ensues, which sets fire to the bar where Marion works. The headpiece gets knocked around and falls in the fire. Tote burns his hand when he tries to pick the red-hot headpiece. Indy recovers the headpiece, and Tote has to retreat. Indy and Marion head to Egypt to find Belloc helping the Nazis dig for the Ark. The Nazis capture Marion and try to smuggle her out of Cairo in a truck. Indy fights the goons and shoots at the truck, which overturns and ends up in a fiery explosion, leading Indy to believe that Marion is dead. Belloc meets a distraught Indy who thinks Marion is killed and boasts about finding the Ark. Belloc says that the Ark is a medium to talk to God. Indy goes to see a shaman who is reading the raw headpiece after both men have learned that Belloc and his Wehrmacht aide, Colonel Dietrich Wolfkaller, have obtained a copy of the headpiece from Tote's burned hand. The shaman reveals two critical facts. First, that the headpiece gives the precise height of the staff of Ra, and second, that the staff the Nazis used was too long. Belloc got only one side of the inscriptions on the headpiece from Tote's hand and hence didn't know that there were additional instructions on the backside as well. So their excavation is over a mile away from the Ark's actual burial site, which is known as the Well of Souls. Indy enters the map room himself and deduces the correct location of the Ark. Indy finds Marion while hiding from the Nazis. He leaves Marion in the Nazis' possession so as not to arouse suspicion and proceeds to dig in the actual site where the Ark is buried. The dig reveals a chamber full of snakes. Indy uses fire to carve a path inside the chamber. Salah John Rhys-Davies, Indy's friend in Egypt, follows and the two eventually find the gigantic chest that is the Ark. Belloc then notices a team working in a portion of the city that he has not authorized and asks Dietrich to gather his troops. The Nazis throw Marion into the chamber and set fire to it. Marion and Indy escape by fighting off the Nazis with a fighter plane. Indy then hooks up with Salah to trace the Ark, which was being taken to Cairo in a truck, and takes it back from Nazis after fighting off the armed escorts around the truck. At an elaborate ceremony atop the mountain, Indy and Marion, tied to a pole, can only watch as the Ark is opened, but it contains nothing but sand, the remains of the stone tablets. No sooner is it opened, however, than its spirits suddenly appear. Indy and Marion, remembering an ancient code that requires people to close their eyes and not look at the now freed spirits, withstand the mayhem that ensues as the energy of the Ark surges forth and its spirits attack the now terrified Nazis, killing the entire contingent and destroying Belloc in gruesome fashion. The energy mass surges high into the sky before returning to the Ark and resealing it, leaving Indy and Marion drained but freed. Weeks later, Indy and Marcus feud with the army officers over the whereabouts of the Ark. Indy angry that the army has no idea what it has in the Ark, though it appears they in fact do understand what they have, as the Ark is sealed in a large crate and stored anonymously in a gigantic government warehouse, never to be seen again.